Words matter. This is so important. I've talked about this. I did a chat with another lady about this, but this is really so important, how we choose our words. Like, again, that difference between I can't have that, like it's very denying, it's very disempowering, and very, like, I don't know, it just brings you down. It makes you feel deprived. It's very negative. And I choose not to eat that. Like, that is very empowering. I'm in control of me. I'm making this great choice for me. Like, it's so positive, right? So that's why even something as small as that, when I would challenge you for at least a solid week, if not a couple of weeks, try and pay attention every time you say the word can't. And there's so many of these areas where we use these words that are very depriving, very I always get this image of like our bigger self, like whipping us down. We're just whipping with our words. I can't, you shouldn't, you're bad, right? And even my mom says that a lot. I know I shouldn't eat that, but I'm going to be bad. Like, or you can be like, I eat really well. I'm having that treat. I deserve that little treat today. Who cares? Either which way, you're going to eat it. So why are you making yourself feel like a piece of garbage eating it, as opposed to being like, yeah, I'm choosing to eat that? And it's funny because when you actually, again, follow the thought down, if I make myself feel like a piece of garbage, because people always say, oh, if I make myself feel bad, I'm less likely to do it next time. But that is a lie we tell ourselves to stay in these bad habits. Because if I feel like a piece of garbage, my confidence is lowered, my thought, my just love of myself is lowered, my image of myself is depleted. You know, I kind of shrink myself in my mind all the time if I'm just whipping myself down, making myself feel like a piece of poo. And then you eat it, then you feel guilty afterwards. There's shame. There's all this negativity crushing you. Well, what happens? Emotionally, you're in this horrible negative state. You're feeling guilty. You're feeling this, oh, boo, boo, whatever. And I'm sure there's other areas of your life where you do this. Now you're going to go emotionally eat later, right? Like, you put yourself in this really minimal, small place. And it just creates, it's like a child acting out negatively to get attention. It's going to create this need to make yourself feel better. And when we can't make ourselves feel better, this is where we turn to food, turn to drugs, turn to, meaningless sex and all these other horrible things, trying to fill the void. But again, we just feel even worse afterwards. Like, it's this horrible cycle. And that's why, like, drug addicts, if you ever look at actual, like, good rehabilitation programs and any therapists that work with addicts, the number one thing to get off drugs, number one, what is the root cause you're trying to cover up? What is there you're trying to dull the pain? What is happening that you're trying to forget? There's something. There is a reason you do this. When we have this, like, food addiction, sex addictions, all of these things, they're all kind of the same, right? And this is part of where, when we choose these negative words, it really, really, really impacts us, beating ourselves down more, just making the problem exponentially worse. Whereas if we can just choose these empowering words, and even so myself, a lot of us, if you were raised by the baby boomers, you're raised in the 80s and 90s, we still had, you have to work hard, you have to get the grades. And in my house, no matter what I got, it was never enough. I got 92 on a math test, and my mom said you could probably get 98 or 100 then. Like, if you did that well, you probably could have aced it. So I was an honor student, but no matter what it was never enough. I could have always done better. And the cherry on the sundae with this is, again, I was an honor student, and all I heard from my teachers, as well as my parents, all I heard from my teachers is, I'm not applying myself. I could do better. Maybe that was true. Like, I look back and there were times I could have applied myself more. I could have got 98 instead of 92. But why can't people just be like, hey, you're doing amazingly. Most people get 60s and 70s. You're an honor student. You're doing fantastic. maybe let's challenge you to do more. How about that? Like, instead of turning it into this positive, we're raised, 80s and 90s, the boomers were raised with negative language. Well, you could do better. And it's really disempowering. And so for myself, still to this day, like my mentor, she mentioned last week, she's like, you beat yourself up a lot. And I was like, no, I don't think I do. I'm like, I have a great relationship with myself. I love myself. I have good confidence. I'm convicted in my opinions. I have no problem articulating them. I'm like, no, I have this great relationship. She's like, well, that might be, but you're still very hard on yourself. And so it really got me thinking. And then as I was, I can't remember what I was doing. I was taking something to the backyard, and the thought I had in my head, and I was like, holy crap, I am super hard on myself. Because the thought I had was something like, well, we could have done that. Oh, well. And I tend to always focus on the positive. I have done that for a very long time now. And so in my awareness, I was kind of glossing over the fact, again, these are blind spots. This is why we need other people to help us and to point them out, because we can't see our own blind spots. I was completely blind to this. Well, you could have done this, i.e., you could have done better, right? I was like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm telling this to myself now. I'm beating myself down. So back from these old habits of what I've been taught, what I've been trained, what I've heard my whole life. Again, this is why words are so, so important. So yeah, really take care. I'd say, again, for the next week, every time you say the word can't, notice it. What's it for? What can't you do? And how else could you phrase that to be really empowering?